Have you ever received a message from a number you didn't recognize? Usually, you ignore it. Maybe it's spam. Maybe it's a wrong number. Maybe someone simply typed the wrong digits. But what if the person sending the message knew exactly where you were? What if they knew what you were doing? And what if the final message wasn't a warning, but an instruction? Tonight, we're telling 3 fictional horror stories about ordinary people who received one strange message and discovered far too late that answering it was the worst decision they could have made. So turn off the lights, put your phone somewhere you can't see it, and whatever you do, don't answer an unknown. Daniel was 28 years old and lived alone in a small apartment on the 4th floor of an old residential building. Nothing unusual had ever happened there. The building was old, the elevator was unreliable, and the hallway lights occasionally flickered. But Daniel liked the place. It was quiet, and after working late shifts at a software company, quiet was exactly what he wanted. One Thursday night, Daniel arrived home shortly after midnight. He unlocked his apartment, dropped his keys onto the kitchen counter, and threw himself onto the couch. His phone buzzed. He looked at the screen. Unknown number. The message contained only 4 words. I can see you. Daniel stared at it. For a moment, he thought it was some kind of joke. Maybe a friend had gotten a new number. He typed, "Who is this?" The response arrived almost immediately. "Don't look behind you." Daniel stopped breathing. His eyes slowly moved toward the dark television screen across the room. He could see his reflection. Nothing behind him, just the apartment door, the kitchen, the hallway leading toward his bedroom. He laughed nervously. Very funny. He turned around. Nothing. Daniel looked back at his phone. Another message. I told you not to. His stomach tightened. He immediately checked the sender's number. It wasn't saved. He blocked it. For several seconds, everything was silent. Then his phone buzzed again. A new number. Blocking me won't help. Daniel stood up. He checked the apartment door. Locked. He checked the windows. Locked. Then he walked into the bedroom and looked through the curtains. The street below was almost completely empty. No one was looking up. No one was standing outside. He returned to the living room. His phone buzzed. You checked the window. Daniel froze. He typed, "How do you know what I'm doing?" 3 dots appeared. Then, because I'm watching. Daniel immediately called the police. While waiting, he searched his apartment for hidden cameras, behind the television, under the furniture, inside smoke detectors. Nothing. The police arrived about 15 minutes later. 2 officers searched the apartment. They found nothing. One officer told Daniel that it was probably someone trying to scare him. Don't respond to them, he said. Daniel nodded. He felt embarrassed. Maybe it really was just a prank. After the officers left, Daniel locked the door again. He decided to sleep. At 2:17 a.m., his phone buzzed. He opened his eyes. A message was waiting. The police left. Daniel sat upright. Another message appeared. Now you're alone. He jumped out of bed. The bedroom door was open. He was certain he'd closed it. Daniel grabbed a kitchen knife and slowly walked toward the living room. Nothing. His phone buzzed again. Put the knife down. Daniel looked around. Then came another message. You look scared. He ran toward the apartment door. But before he reached it, his phone buzzed one final time. Don't open it. Daniel stopped. There was a sound on the other side. 3 slow knocks. Knock, knock, knock. Daniel didn't move. His phone buzzed. Good. The knocking stopped. Then came a whisper from the hallway. Daniel? He knew the voice. It was his own voice. Daniel stepped backward. His phone displayed another message. Now look behind you. He didn't want to. Every instinct told him not to. But slowly, very slowly, he turned. The apartment was empty, except for the television. It had turned itself on. The screen showed a live video feed. Daniel was standing in front of the television. He could see himself from behind, and directly behind him was a person wearing dark clothes. Daniel spun around. Nothing. He looked back at the screen. The figure was still there, but now it was standing closer. Daniel's phone buzzed one last time. I said I could see you. The screen went black. The next morning, Daniel's apartment was found unlocked. His phone was lying on the living room floor. Daniel was gone. The police found no sign of forced entry. No fingerprints, no broken windows, nothing. The only strange thing was the television. It was still displaying a frozen image. A picture of Daniel standing in his apartment, taken from directly behind him. Maya had never believed in supernatural stories. She worked remotely, lived alone, and spent most of her evenings watching movies or scrolling through her phone. She had a predictable routine: work, dinner, Netflix, sleep. That changed on a Monday morning. At 8:04 a.m., Maya received a text from an unknown number. "I saw you last night." She assumed it was spam. She ignored it. A minute later, another message arrived. "You were standing outside your house." Maya frowned. She had been inside all night. She replied, "Wrong person." The response came instantly. "No." Then, "It was you." Maya put her phone down. She tried to forget about it. But at 8:19, another message appeared. "You were wearing a white shirt." Maya looked down. She was wearing a white shirt. Her stomach dropped. She hadn't been wearing it the night before. She checked her bedroom. The shirt she'd worn yesterday was lying on the floor, black. She stared at the message. Then another arrived. "You just looked at the floor." Maya's hands became cold. She checked the windows. The curtains were closed. She locked the front door. Then she called her brother. She explained everything. He laughed. "Someone's messing with you." Maya wanted to believe him, until the next message arrived. "Your brother is wrong." She immediately ended the call. Her brother called back. She didn't answer. Maya spent the next hour checking every room. Nothing. Eventually, she convinced herself that someone had hacked her phone. She changed her passwords, disabled location services, turned off Bluetooth. Then she checked her phone's photo gallery. There was a new photograph. Maya didn't remember taking it. It showed her bedroom, taken from the doorway. The timestamp was 3:12 a.m. She zoomed in. Her bed was visible. Maya was sleeping, but something else was standing beside the bed. A tall figure, completely motionless. She dropped the phone. For several seconds, she couldn't move. Then she picked it up again. The photograph was gone. She searched everywhere. Nothing. Her phone buzzed. "You saw it." Maya typed. "Who are you?" The answer, "Someone who was there." She asked, "Where?" The reply came after several seconds. "In your house." Maya ran outside. She drove to a coffee shop several blocks away and sat in the corner. She called the police. They checked her home. Again, nothing. No broken locks, no signs of entry. The officer suggested that someone could be attempting to frighten her. Maya didn't tell him about the photograph. She wasn't even sure she believed it herself anymore. That evening, she stayed at a friend's apartment. She didn't sleep. At 3:12 a.m., her phone buzzed. A message. "You're not home." Then another. "That's better." Maya stared at the screen. Her friend was asleep on the couch. She whispered, "Who are you?" A reply appeared. "Check your camera." Maya opened the phone's camera. The front camera showed her face. But the preview behind her was strange. There was someone standing in the doorway. Maya screamed and turned around. Nobody. She looked back at the phone. The figure was still visible. She threw the phone across the room. Her friend woke up. What happened? Maya couldn't speak. The next morning, she returned home with her brother. Everything looked normal. Then she noticed something on the wall. A small black mark beside the bedroom door. She touched it. It was a tiny camera lens, hidden inside the wall. The police arrived. They searched the house and discovered several more. Someone had been watching her. For how long, they couldn't determine. But then an investigator checked the footage. There were recordings from the previous night. Maya watched herself sleeping. The camera showed her bedroom. Nothing happened for hours. Then, at exactly 3:12 a.m., the bedroom door slowly opened. Maya sat up in bed. Her eyes were open. She looked directly at the camera. Then she stood. She walked toward the doorway and disappeared into the hallway. Maya stared at the screen. That isn't possible. Her brother looked at her. You don't remember this? She shook her head. The investigator paused the video. Then he zoomed in. Someone was standing behind Maya. A tall figure. Its face was hidden, but one detail was clear. It was holding a phone, and on the phone's screen was a message. I saw you last night. Maya never returned to the house. The cameras were removed. The police never found whoever installed them. But months later, Maya received one final message from an unknown number. There was no text, only a photograph. It showed Maya sleeping in her new apartment. And beneath the photograph were 4 words. You moved too late. Ethan received the message at 11:43 p.m. He was sitting alone at his desk, finishing work. His phone vibrated. Unknown sender. The message said, "Do you want this to stop?" Ethan frowned. He assumed it was spam. Then another message arrived. "Reply stop." He almost deleted it. But curiosity won. He typed, "Stop." The message was sent. Immediately, the unknown number replied, "Request received." Ethan smiled. "Okay, weird." He put his phone down. 5 seconds later, the lights in his apartment turned off. Ethan froze. The electricity came back on. Then his phone buzzed. One. He stared at the message. Another appeared. "You have 3 minutes." Ethan didn't understand. Then the kitchen light went out. He heard a glass fall. He slowly walked toward the kitchen. A glass was lying broken on the floor. Nobody else was there. His phone buzzed. 2. Ethan stepped backward. He called his friend Marcus. No answer. He tried again. Still nothing. Then he received another message. "Don't call him." Ethan stared at the screen. He had never told the sender who Marcus was. Another message appeared. "He can't help you." Ethan grabbed his jacket and ran outside. He stood in the parking lot. There were several cars, streetlights, a few apartment windows glowing in the darkness. He felt safer. Then his phone buzzed. 3. The streetlights went out. Every single one. Ethan stood in complete darkness. Then one light came back on. At the far end of the parking lot. Under it stood a person. Motionless. Ethan couldn't see the face. He took 1 step backward. The person took 1 step forward. Ethan ran. He sprinted toward the main road without looking back. His phone kept vibrating in his pocket. He didn't check it. He didn't stop until he reached a crowded gas station. People were everywhere. Cars, lights, cameras. He finally felt safe. Then his phone buzzed. He looked. There was one message. "You broke the rule," Ethan typed. "What rule?" The answer appeared immediately. "You were supposed to stay home." He stared at the screen. Then another message. "Now it knows where you are." Ethan looked around. The gas station was crowded. Nothing seemed wrong. He walked inside. The cashier looked at him. "Everything okay?" Ethan nodded. Then the lights flickered. Once, twice. The cashier's expression changed. "Sir?" Ethan turned. The security monitor behind the counter was displaying the gas station cameras. One screen showed the entrance. One showed the parking lot. One showed the road. And one showed Ethan standing inside the store. But there was someone standing directly behind him. Ethan spun around. Nobody. He looked back at the monitor. The figure was gone. Then his phone buzzed. "Look up." Ethan slowly raised his head. Above him was a ceiling camera. Its red indicator light was blinking. Then his phone displayed another message. "I can see everything you see." Ethan dropped the phone. The cashier picked it up. He looked at the screen. His face went pale. "Where did you get this?" Ethan said nothing. The cashier showed him the screen. The message had changed. "He can see you too." The cashier looked toward the front window. Someone was standing outside, watching them. The cashier immediately locked the doors. They called the police. But before the police arrived, the unknown number sent another message. "You have 1 minute." The cashier asked, "1 minute for what?" Ethan didn't know. Then every phone inside the gas station began vibrating. Customers pulled out their phones. Every screen displayed the same message. Reply stop to end it. People started panicking. Someone shouted that it was a virus. Another person tried turning off their phone. It didn't work. The message appeared again. 1 minute. Then the countdown began. 59, 60, 61. Ethan realized something. The messages weren't asking them to reply. They were waiting for everyone to reply. He shouted, "Don't answer it." But several people already had. One person typed, "Stop." Their phone immediately went black. They looked relieved. Then they collapsed. The entire store went silent. Ethan's phone buzzed. First, another customer typed "Stop." Their phone went black. They collapsed too. Ethan finally understood. It's not trying to stop. The cashier stared at him. Then what is it doing? Ethan looked at the message. It's counting. The countdown reached 0. Every phone in the store went dark. The doors unlocked. The lights came back on. The figure outside was gone. The police arrived minutes later. They found the store full of confused people. No attacker. No device. No explanation. Ethan's phone was examined by specialists. They couldn't find the application responsible. They couldn't trace the number. They couldn't even prove that the messages had been sent through a normal network. The strangest part came later. When Ethan checked his phone history, he discovered something impossible. The first message hadn't arrived at 11:43 p.m. It had been sent at 11:43 a.m., 12 hours earlier, before Ethan had even received it, before he had replied, before any of the events happened. The final message remained saved on his phone. Ethan opened it one last time. It said, "Thank you for replying." He deleted it. The screen went black. Then it lit up again. One new message. No sender. No number. Just 5 words. "See you in the next message." Ethan threw the phone into a drawer. He never used that phone again. But 3 weeks later, his new phone vibrated. Unknown number. One message. Do you want this to stop? 3 people, 3 strange messages, and 3 decisions that changed everything. Maybe the scariest part isn't receiving a message from someone you don't know. Maybe it's realizing that the person on the other side of the screen knows something they shouldn't. So the next time your phone lights up with a message from an unknown number, you might want to think twice before replying. Because sometimes, a strange message isn't looking for an answer, it's looking for you. And if the message says, "Don't look behind you," maybe don't.